we had fish cooperative, and the coffee cooperative was not doing well. In fact, it had collapsed. And when I came in as a governor, I found only one staff who was working, who was then working under the Ministry of Agriculture. Only one staff who was in charge of cooperative. So obviously, cooperative being a very important vehicle for economic development, I had to beef up that particular unit. I assigned 2 people to that, to the staff, and made him director of cooperatives at that time. And then from there, I made a provision in the budget, allocation, in order to revive cooperatives in the county. And that time, I made a provision of 20 million so that I could support the 3 cooperatives that were there. And after a short time, because I found cooperatives were very important, I made that particular unit to be separate under a chief officer so that we had a proper focus to it. And as I left, there was actually a chief officer who was in charge of cooperatives. But my people had not embraced cooperatives. We could support them, then because of poor management, resources could be misused. So that's the problem that I encountered when in Kakamega County.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. CS nominee, Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya, as part of the vetting process, we do write to EACC, and when the clerk wrote to EACC on your suitability, amongst others, who had been nominated to serve as cabinet secretaries, EACC had a reservation on your nomination as a cabinet secretary, and they said they had conducted investigations on allegations of corruption against you when you served as a governor of Kakamega County, on also conflicts of interest, abuse of office, and money laundering. And they did recommend to the DPP that you be prosecuted for those offenses. They also aver that you went ahead and obtained conservatory orders from a Kakamega Constitution and Human Rights Court in petition E019 of 2023, and that matter is still pending in court. But they were able to get conservatory preservation orders against your assets, specifically some 28 million shillings, I believe, which was in some bank account. And CS nominee, now you are here before us. I would want you to shed more light on these allegations of corruption, abuse of office, conflicts of interest, and money laundering, because you will agree those are very serious and grave allegations against your person for the time you served as governor Kakamega County. And now you're being given a bigger job, not in a county, but in the nation. A job that will entail you overseeing not just the cooperative sector, but also the micro, small, medium enterprises development in the country. And this is a position that calls for you to be of impeccable integrity. It's a job that will require you to give Kenyans confidence that they can trust you with their cooperatives' money. I heard you say in Kakamega the cooperative movement is not very strong, but you know the cooperative movement in this country is among the richest and most developed in sub-Saharan Africa. Therefore, this is a sector that requires a man of impeccable integrity and someone that Kenyans and cooperators in this country can trust that their money is safe with them. Will cooperators' money be safe in your hands?
Thank you very much. The corporate money would be very safe in my hands, Mr. Chungwa.
You answer this, nominee, but next time you wait for me to motion, because sometimes we'll take about 3 questions in a row.
Oh, okay.
But you answer this before we go to the others.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, Chairman, the facts are not true. Nobody, and I want to say in front of the cameras, nobody has come to me to write a statement. I don't know, this prosecution is one-sided. I've never been given a chance to say my story. In August 2023, you remember what was happening. I was very active in demonstrations that time, August 2023. When I was in those demonstrations, I was called by someone to be told, because I was in demonstration, the EACC were looking for me. And I asked that person, what has the EACC to do with the demonstrations? I have served diligently for 10 years. I've been a minister for 5 years. We have had audit reports. This audit report, there is no report that pointed on me as being a corrupt person. And if you remember, when I was Minister for Planning, the ministry was voted the best performing ministry. You can look at your records. When I was governor, everywhere they are saying where devolution is working is Kakamega County. If I'm lying, check your records. I worked for 10 years, nobody came to my office about any corrupt case until August 2023, when we were doing maandamano. And when they came to my house, it was even not about corruption. The first question they asked, what business do you do with Raila Amolo Odinga? I don't do any business with Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga is just my party leader. That is the only relationship I have with him. Secondly, I was asked, do you keep guns in this house? Obviously, why would I be keeping guns in my house? The third question I was asked, that where do you get money that you fund demonstrations? So what has those questions to do with corruption? So as I sit here, Honorable Chairman, nobody has come to take any statement from me. So I don't know what I'm being accused for, because I'm also just seeing it in the papers as you are seeing. So that is where I am, Mr. Chairman. But even before then, my lawyer got possession of the documents when they went to court to freeze my money. And the money was not in the account. The money was with CPF, where I was buying a property. So when CPF were called by EACC to write a statement, they are the ones who alerted me that they were following the money that I had paid CPF, which had nothing to do with the Kakamega account. This was money from my account and money from someone who was buying my house that I was selling. So that's how it was. And nobody has come out until when now the person who was buying my house withdrew and wanted me to refund his money. I didn't have the money to refund because it had been processed.
Chair. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, Majority
sorry
Leader.
To interrupt, Governor. Just to be clear, two things. First, who are these who came to the house? EACC or ordinary police?
You wouldn't know them because they never introduced themselves. There were about 20. So some were in police uniform, some were in civilian uniform.
They never introduced themselves as EACC officers?
They said they are EACC officers, but I can't remember their names. There was one that introduced himself. The rest never introduced themselves.
Then the money you are referring to is this money that is has conservatory orders?
Yeah, the money was not in my account. It was with CPF where I was buying the house.
CPF, this is a county provident fund?
Yes.
You are buying a house from CPF?
Yes.
So you had transferred the money to CPF?
CPF.
And the conservatory orders were put on the CPF account or on your account?
Yes. No, to the CPF account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeanette, Minority Leader.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Chairman, my questions begin from this. Mr. Nominee, these investigations that EACC is talking about, are you saying here on camera on open day that you have never written any statement?
I'm saying here in the camera that I have never been called to write a statement up to this moment. So I don't know even what I'm being accused for, because if I knew, I would have explained. But I just read it in the papers like the way you read it.
So this file that we are seeing that has gone all the way to the DPP doesn't have any of your statement?
Can you go and check that file? I have never written a statement.
It will be easier
to
just answer the question.
Yeah.
Because even if you tell him to go, he will not.
Sorry.
Just answer the question as it's asked.
I have no statement in that file as I sit here, unless I will have it tomorrow.
So, these conservatory orders that you applied for in Kakamega, what made you apply for it?
I applied for it because my family was harassed.
Yes.
And because the way these people were asking me questions about the guns, about my relationship with my party leader, I got scared. And the way they harassed my children, they took their phones. Yeah. I didn't know what was going to happen next time. So I decided, why can't I go to court to protect me? And that's why I went there. And according to the Constitution, I'm not supposed to be searched the house. It is there in the Constitution. So I was using my rights.
You can be searched, but with a court order.
Yeah.
Yes. If they come with a court order, they can search. If they don't have a court order, it's another story.
Okay. Thank you.
I rest my case there because I'm really surprised that you're saying you have never recorded a statement.
I have never recorded a statement.
That is information that I really wanted to know. Yeah. Secondly, now my other question is, now you are going to the position of Cabinet Secretary of Cooperatives.
If confirmed.
If confirmed by this committee.
Yes.
And your profession, as you have said, is accounting, which is much in relation with that work. There is the SME, micro and small medium enterprises, which is the backbone of this economy. That is the group that drives this economy. What do you think, what measures will you put in place to make sure that these SMEs survive the current economic situation that is going on in this country of high interest rates and other things? Secondly, the famous, and unfortunately me and you are on the same line, before elections and after elections, until now we are found together in this place. How will you handle Hustler Fund? It's in that ministry. What do you think you will do? And you know the way we opposed it very well, me and you, on the streets.
Chair, maybe before he answers that, in relation to the question Jeanette asked, the investigations by EACC, you say you have never recorded a statement, okay? Are you aware if any of your former colleagues or staff at the county government of Kakamega have recorded any statements with EACC? And lastly, has the Office of the ODPP, Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, ever contacted you in relation to this matter or prosecuted you?
I only know if any member of Kakamega County recorded a statement, because I'm no longer a governor. So I only know the movement of staff from Kakamega to here and back. So that one, I will not commit myself that I know. However, I know one of my colleagues who was called to record a statement.
Chairman, on the same, just briefly on the EACC, have you ever been to EACC offices, the headquarters here?
Yes.
In October?
Yes.
Did you, what did you go to do there?
I had gone to collect my phones because they had taken my phones of my children. My children were crying, they want their phones. So I followed them to go and collect the phones. And when I went there, they kept me waiting. They were saying they were scanning the phones. And later, after some 2-3 hours, they returned me the phone. That's what took me there.
So while there, you did not write any statement?
I didn't write any statement.
Did you get your phones back?
I got my phones back, except the computer.
And the ODPP has never contacted you that you're supposed to be charged for any offense, or you're supposed to be taken to court?
He has never contacted me. The first time that I was contacted was early this month, around 8th, 9th there, when my lawyer told me that he had received a letter from the DPP that I have no case to answer, according to him.
Let's have, yes.
Yeah, you talked
the Hustler Fund
and
your previous pronouncements against it. Now that you are going to be the line minister, I think that's what you have been asked.
I know I was among the people who are opposed about the Hustler Fund. And I had not known the facts about the Hustler Fund until now. I've been briefed about the Hustler Fund. I think this fund, if well managed, is a fund that will take our people from poverty. The only problem through my briefing, the only problem is that this fund was launched in a hurry without proper legal structures in place. And in the process, the Treasury allocated 13 billion Kenya shillings. From those 13 billion, because of borrowing again and again, that figure has gone, the turnover has gone to 55 billion.
From 13?
From 13. And out of that 55 billion, 21 million people have been involved in the repeating borrowing. In the process, they have been able to recover 45 billion. 43 billion, sorry.
It's a revolving fund.
It's a revolving fund. So in the process, there is 12 billion, which has not been recovered. But they have a strong, there is a very strong infrastructure, digital infrastructure, that they are able to determine where the 12 billion is, who has the 12 billion. The only problem is that there is no legal framework to recover that particular amount. You know, Fulisa is when you take Fulisa, when you load your phone, then the money is recovered automatically. But the digital infrastructure they have does not do that. It waits until the 2 weeks.
if you find favor and you are confirmed, I have not been asking questions, but just a follow-up until the end. If you are confirmed to take up this docket, what will you do then to have a better system to manage this fund and avoid leakages and losses?
First thing I should admit here that the intention was very good, because this fund was supposed to address market failures at the lowest level, lowest pyramid. That person, even leave Mama Mboga, leave Boda Boda, the person below, even those people, the person who could not even afford 500 shillings. So it was supposed to address that. You borrow the money, and then you repay. When you repay, you get a credit score. So after that, then if you have borrowed like 500, you have refunded. You can now borrow 1,000 and you refund. In that process, your score improves. So you can continue borrowing until those who are borrowing properly, now they can borrow up to 1 million shillings. So the intention was good, but unfortunately, there was no legal framework. So if you approved my nomination, the first thing I will do is to make sure that there is a proper legal framework. There is a board has just been put in, but there is no even staff. So to ensure that there is staff that will manage this particular fund properly, because this fund, the goodness is that when you borrow, 30% of the money you borrow goes to savings. So it encourages savings. And at the moment, even the savings now have reached about 3.1 billion. And savings are very critical. It has also the element of retirement benefit. They have even now put there a benefit of health care. So if well managed, Mr. Chairman, this is a very useful fund.
I will take a cohort of 3. Naisula, I believe the first one was a point of order.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah?
It's because it was in the public knowledge that he went to EACC in October. So let
I'll
me
give
ask the
you
question. Yeah.
Naisula, Koech, and Kosing in that order. In fact, let's go up to Gikaria.
Okay. So,
So
Honorable
you take
Oparanya,
note, then you'll answer them in a sequence.
Honorable Oparanya, just speaking from you, what you've talked about the Hustlers Fund, as it is now, or as it was, we used to have the Women Enterprise Fund, the Youth Fund, Uwezo. And I'm actually very keen on the Women Enterprise Fund. When we move the women, and you know there are rural women who don't even know how to use these gadgets. There are some who don't even have smartphones. But the kind of business that they're doing, uko mashinani, they really need this fund. And as an MP, because we oversight these funds and we are also patrons, we've been giving them a lot of loans. But now you're moving them to a digital space. You've not done, not you, but I mean, we have not done enough sensitization. It is really limiting. I'd like to pick your mind on that. And then there is very little is known about the Micro and Small Enterprise Authority. It's called MSEA, which is domiciled in the ministry headquarters. They have a ready clientele of more than 7 million the small, medium and small enterprises. What measures can you put in place to ensure that the authority is well resourced so that it becomes more vibrant and more visible? They might be doing a lot, but rarely will their work be profiled. And lastly, what plans do you have, if approved and confirmed by the National Assembly, to reach the unreached in terms of cooperatives? You know, some people think that cooperatives is a monster somewhere. And many Kenyans, especially in the rural and interior parts of this country, have no idea about cooperatives and what it does. I have a text message from a Kenyan who says, I don't want to ask later something from Kenyans, who says that when you were COG chair in 2019, nurses went on strike for 2 weeks and their salaries and statutory deductions and loans were never paid to date. They're asking, they didn't see leadership then when you were chair COG. They're asking whether you find yourself suitable to come again back into leadership.
Coach?
Nominee, mine is straightforward. How will you address the issue of punitive practices by digital lenders towards MSMEs? Considering
Come again.
How will you address the issue of punitive practices by digital lenders towards MSMEs, considering that while these lenders provide accessible collateral-free loans, they often charge exorbitant interest rates and lead to debt distress? Number two, on a lighter note, Honorable Speaker, is to commend the nominee for his good taste. Recently, it's been a media sensation, and I applaud his good taste on nice things.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You don't have to answer that. Deal with his first question. Yeah. The next member, Posing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Goy should have elaborated what are good things or nice things. Honorable Chair, Speaker, to the nominee, these cooperatives is a very good idea. Of course, it started a long time ago. But these cooperatives are only centered around metropolis or towns or Nairobi, and maybe to few products like milk, little bit milk, but mainly coffee, you know. And the bulk of the population, Honorable Speaker, is in the rural. 70%, 80% of this country is rural. So, Honorable Oparanya, should we get the favor of Parliament, how will these cooperatives, reach our people now where the population is? And number two, and lastly, Hustler Fund. Don't you think, Honorable Oparanya, through the Speaker, is good time to evaluate the distribution of this Hustler Fund, whether they can be linked to M-Pesa services or bank services, so that then when people borrow, it is easier to follow and be able to recover. Thank you, Chair.
Gikaria. Honorable Gikaria.
Thank you, Chairman. To the nominee, the constituency industrial development centers. These were key elements that were going to boost productivity and employment. A better business environment and enhance enterprise skills. Given the budget constraints that have hindered the implementation, what measures will you take to ensure that the ICDCs effectively create employment opportunities and support the SMEs in the constituencies? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Nominee, you can answer those.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Speaker of the National Assembly. You asked about the Women Enterprise Fund, that it has now been digitalized. What I would say is that at the moment, I will not know what they have done on that fund until now I move in to see. But since you have now raised this question, it's one of the issues that I have to look into. But as you know, the world is now going digital. So the only thing that you can do to these women as a member of parliament, I think, is to sensitize them, let them have the smartphones, and there are organizations that can support in that area. I know because I have done that in my own county with the CHVs. They have been supported with the smartphones, and they are able to transact. But I have said I will have to check. Now, the MCs.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker. Yeah.
Coming?
Yeah, to the nominee.
Yeah.
You know, the Women Enterprise Fund, that money we used to give to Mama Bogas. And those women, they don't know how to use those smartphones you are talking about. And like Nyeri County, Karatina, the women had taken up to 1 million shillings. Now, when they were told again...
Each or collectively?
Collectively. Each group, because they normally take that money as per in a group of women. Now, when you say that now again we tell those women to go back and then now start doing those applications through the mobile phone, I don't think that is going to work. And that is why even we were trying to approach His Excellency, because we were feeling those women who had already had a business of 1 million, and here you are being told now to go back and apply for 50,000. I don't think that is doable. Thank you.
Lastly, a comment on that, Chairman. And in my view, I think what we are saying is that, yes, we need to move with technology, but can it be gradual? And can it be well thought out in implementing the policies?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hear you. And not everything is cast in stone. You have raised this issue, and if I go to the ministry, I'm going to take it up seriously. You don't need the president to be involved in such an issue. I think I can deal with it appropriately, because the president has more pressing issues than talking about women phones. Talking about women phones.
Honorable Speaker, let him apologize. Women are the pillars of this country.
No, I'd say it.
He's answering an isolated question. He's not talking about women generally.
I have answered
specific to your question.
The president should not be talking about phones.
To protect the nominee.
Yeah.
He had not finished what he was saying. He just said women, and because I'm close to him, he said women and their phones.
Yeah, yes. I was
Rahab,
Chairman.
Don't be oversensitive.
Chairman, I wanted to tell Rahab that we should leave the president to more pressing issues that affect the country. These issues of women with the phones, this one I can deal with them if you give me a chance. Yeah, why are you nominating me if I cannot deal with such issues? I can deal with it effectively.
To the next.
Yeah.
Yes, Junet.
Yeah, I agree with him, but is the nominee insinuating that the gender docket also can be added to here, or what?
That is with a light touch. Go on, answer the other questions.
Now, the SMEs authority, there is an authority act. And as I have said earlier, these SMEs were scattered in various ministries. You could find some intervention in the Ministry of Youth, some intervention in the Ministry of Trade and Industrialization, some intervention in the Ministry of Water, etc. This is the first time that the President has thought it wise to put them into one ministry. And because now they are in one ministry, the authority is now going to effectively to deal with them. And these are self-financing institutions. They finance themselves. Mr. Speaker, what the ministry does is to provide, to make sure that they are formalized, they are properly registered. The ministry helps them to register or to formalize themselves from informal to formal. And then to ensure that they get licenses, to train them so that there is financial literacy, they know how to handle finances, but we do not allocate money for them because they are supposed to get money from financial institutions or from the funds that are created, WESO Fund, Women Fund, or the Hustler Fund. In terms of cooperatives, cooperatives is one of the oldest institutions in this country. Cooperatives in this country started in 1908. It started in Lumbwa there, and it was a dairy cooperative which came up to be the present KCC. So cooperatives are also self-financing. They raise money by themselves. What we do, what the ministry does, is to make sure that cooperatives operate transparently, they are accountable to the members, So the ministry oversights them to make sure that those mandates they are formed for are being achieved. That's what it does. We also help them to access cheap funds, either from these other funds that are there, like the Hustler Fund. We help them also provide audit services, but they have had a problem, management problems, and that's why most of them have collapsed. At the moment, we have 30,000 registered cooperatives, but only out of that 30,000, only 10,000 are active. And at the moment, Mr. Chairman, to show that this particular sector is very important for this country, they have those 30,000 that are there registered, they have an asset base of 1.7 billion Kenya shillings, which is nearly a half of the Kenyan budget. And from there, from that amount, they have been able to lend out to members 1.1 billion. And from that money, they have been able to save 1 billion, which is 30% of the total things in this country. So this movement of cooperatives is very important, and I will encourage members of parliament who are here that this is a time, if you give me a chance to serve in this ministry, I must involve you so that we are able to register more people in the cooperative, because this is the only way that will save this country. And that's why now cooperatives have become a pillar for micro and small enterprises. The cooperative is the base, and the SMEs are the pillar, because the SMEs are able to borrow from cooperatives for their either if they are person for their personal development or for the development of the SME in question. Issues of punitive lenders as raised by Honorable Koech, this is known, it is there, and this is one of the factors that have made most of the cooperative collapse, because they access very expensive loans. They are not able to service those loans. Majority of them have collapsed because of the loans and because of course, mismanagement. And that's why the ministry is taking precautions to ensure that these cooperatives now come together and form a central liquidity facility where they all put their money, and if they want to borrow, then they will go and borrow in that central liquidity.
Isn't that why
facility.
the cooperative bank was set up?
Yes. No, cooperative bank operates as a commercial bank at the moment. Why cooperative bank is owned by the cooperative movement, 65% of the shares, but it operates under the Banking Act. It operates under the Banking Act. So it is not treated as a cooperative as such. So it is out of that. But, Chairman, because it is owned by the cooperative, it supports cooperative movements on many other issues. Now, Honorable Singh raised the issue of cooperatives are only in towns. I can assure you that cooperatives are everywhere. Now, you have to, actually cooperative, even the mamambogas come together, the table banking, that is part of actually cooperation. That is what graduates to be a big cooperative. But that kind of collaboration, whether in whichever village, and you will find this cooperation is everywhere, even in small villages. But what I think you are saying, you are thinking of a formal big cooperative. I can assure you that if you give me, you are able to vet me and you give me this chance, I will come to your constituency West Pokot South, isn't it? And that's where I was born. And I will help you form cooperatives in that particular region. I will sensitize the people there so that they are able to form cooperative. You have talked of Hustler Fund. Honourable members, I don't want to talk much about Hustler Fund. I've clearly committed myself that as I go to the ministry, I will look at the various issues, because a fund like that losing 12 billion in a short period, and this public money is an issue that as citizens of this country, we should get worried of. The idea is good, but the problem was the way that it was implemented. So the last question that I was asked is about constituency industrial development centers. At the moment, I think there was an attempt to have all these industrial centers in every constituency. At the moment, there are about 200 of them that are completed. These centers were meant to accommodate these small businesses, small and medium businesses, so that shared facilities are put in those centers. And people are, the Chuakalis are able to come there and use these common facilities. Because buying sometimes equipment for use, individual SME, is expensive. And that's why those industrial centers were built, that equipment could be put there, and the SMEs around will come there and share those particular equipment, which was a very good idea. And this started a long time ago, Mr. Chairman, when I was still Member of Parliament for Butere constituency, and unfortunately, even up to now, some of them has not been operationalized. And if this was used, obviously, this will create a lot of employment. If the government is able to give equipment and the people can come there and share this particular equipment. That was the essence of constituency industrial development centers.
The COG question.
The COG that people worked for 3 months, was that in my county or that was countrywide? Because what I know, I cannot say what was happening in other counties, because health is devolved. The nurses work for a particular county. Within my own county, the nurses that time, they went on strike. And I met the union members. I asked them why they were going on strike. They said they were going on strike because they were sympathizing with their colleagues who were suffering somewhere in Kirinyaga. But I told them, heaven's sake, you are working for Kakamega County. Why do you sympathize with someone in Kirinyaga? So what I did, I went to court, and court told them to resume work because the excuse was not relevant for Kakamega County. So they never resumed work for 3 months. So I decided that I would not pay them because they were told to resume work and they never worked. So why would I have paid them? And they had not paid. They had not worked. So that's why up to now, by the time I was leaving the office, I had not paid them.
Point of order, Chair. It's about the constituency industrial. What you said, that is the status as it is. My question was, how is he going to, what effort is he going to make to revive them to meet that purpose that they were meant to serve? Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, this was just a shared service. This constituent industrial centers are under the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Industry. So that is the lead ministry. They are the owners. So we were just going in to get the share, to use them at the site. But for implementation, for allocation of resources, that is the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Industry. So I cannot clearly answer that question.
Amisi, Mukami, Mishi, and Sharia, will take those four in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to state that the nominee before us is well known to me as my former deputy party leader, very close friend coming from my region, and I have a very long relationship with him, but that one will not conflict my fair decision in this committee against his candidature. Just like Honorable Junet, we find ourselves in a situation whereby, in fact, for a while I thought we are in Azimio PG because we are always together, but now he's on the opposite side. We've been against this hustlers fund, the people who have believed, and you know what we have believed in for a long time. Well, some of us have a history of going through a lot. We have saved, some of our lives have been saved by media, personalities on the street. So we believed so inherently in values and some principles that pertains governance of our country, resource, and also the offices that we occupy. From where I sit, we are in a capitalist nation, where the bourgeoisie, the ruling class, controls the factors of production, and the low class, the proletariat, you know, they're the workers, who now we are referring to as the hustlers. This is a system that has existed world over, historically. And the way you have solved the issues of the proletariat is not the way the hustler fund is want to solve it. Because we are solving the issue of proletariat by developing what is called social assistance to those who are unable to live the rest of the class. So that the bourgeoisie controls the economy, but the social class that is below, that is struggling, is done social assistance.
Amisi, you are making a speech. Ask a question.
It's a very pertinent area because it affects the majority of the Kenyans. So I want people to understand it, yeah? So I will think that the hustler fund can be transmitted into a social assistant rather than be used to in terms of micro and small enterprise. Because when you come together as cooperatives, you are trying to come to the same level as bourgeoisies. You are combining forces. So is this some of the areas you think that when you get to the office, you are able to change? In some cases, you may not agree with the boss. And when you don't agree with the boss in that aspect of the things that we believed in as on our side as Azimio, that this needs to change. If you change and think the system do not want to change, how will you survive in such a circumstances? Thank you.
Rahab.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. To the nominee, my concern is the coffee sheriff fund. The government has allocated about 6.7 billion to support the coffee farmers. Through the new Kenya Planters Cooperative Union, this initiative has encountered challenges such as low uptake farmers and limited funding releases. What strategies will you implement to enhance the effectiveness of this fund and ensure it is successful rollout to help the coffee farmers? Because majority don't understand, they don't even know how to go about it. The other question is about the new KCC. The new KCC is collapsing because of the poor management. And the government has been pumping a lot of money in Dadola, Nyandarua, Eldoret, Nyeri Kiganjo, but still the company is not able to sustain itself. still, the other small dairy farmers, they are able to pay their farmers in time. But KCC, they normally take about 120 days for the farmers to get their money. What are you going to do? Thank you.
Ms. Shimbogo.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, the nominee used to be my deputy party leader in the ODM, but today I'm here in the appointment committee and I'm being governed by the procedure and rules. My question will be on the succession plan in terms of cooperative movement. I know this has been marred by several challenges, be it governance, management, and so many other issues. I don't know what will be your plan to ensure at least succession plan can be smoothly, noting that you are sharing function between two levels of government, that is the county and the national government. My second question, Chairman, there have been some fraudulent financial organization coming up, like the pyramid, in different ways. And Kenyans are lured, they give a lot of money to deposit, thinking that they're going, they call so many words. Either they say you put a seed, then you'll harvest, I don't know what, in so many ways. What do you think you can propose in terms of legal framework or other mechanism which you're going to put in place so that you safeguard Kenyans from losing a lot of money from such fraudulent activities? The last one, it is the issue of CUSCO, which is the umbrella body for the SACCOs. I know there have also been so many challenges and corruption cases, ranging from theft and other anomalies. What are you going to do if you are approved to ensure that this umbrella body, which carries all the SACCOs, can be doing its activities under a legal framework? Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a question that I had posed to the former Minister for SMEs, and I think he left office before he could undertake it, Mheshimiwa Oparanya. The SME Financial Support Services, its framework is not favorable to the Muslim population due to the interest component. If approved, would you consider reforms to mainstream the significant population that feel abandoned? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You can answer those four.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Kaleba Misi has raised this issue of hustler fund, social assistance. As a government, the government definitely is a government for the people. The government that does not take care of its people is not a government, because this government is there voted by the people, and the government, when it comes in office, it has to take care of its people. So social assistance is very critical. But Mr. Chair, social assistance is not within the Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro and Small and Medium Enterprises. It's under the Ministry of Labor. So I think someone from Labor will be able to answer this question more effective than myself.
Actually, he answered when he appeared.
Yeah, it's there. But us...
But you can deal with his issue of now your poll moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
But us, as a ministry, we have taken this micro and small and medium enterprises as our core function. And we are undertaking all that we can to make sure that this particular, because this is where we can create employment in this country. Because this particular sector employs about 15 million people. The Kenyan government, the governments, counties, and the national government put together, they are able to only employ 1 million people. And there can never be an increase, more increase in that. So where our opportunity lies, it is in these micro and small enterprises. And that's why it has become a pillar under the national government. And I think, to me, the president made a very deliberate decision to make sure that SMEs becomes one of the pillars for the economic transformation of this country. So what we do is to create enabling environment. That is our responsibility. We do not fund them. We just train them, tell them, you must be formal, you must be registered, because sometimes they want government tenders, and they cannot do so when they are not properly registered, when they are not properly licensed, they have offices. So we help them, and then we sensitize them that if you get money through other avenues that we have created, various funds, this is how you should manage these funds. What we call, we train them on financial literacy. The issue raised by Rahab on the coffee cherry fund, this has been an issue for many, many years in the coffee industry. The problem we have had, and the coffee industry is no different from the sugar industry, which is in my place there, that this government concerned, and if they are cooperatives, the sugar industry, the companies are mainly parastatals, or government has shares there. Because of mismanagement, they take this money and they do not pay the money back. So they become debts. The government has continually written off these debts. But for how long will the government keep on writing off this debt? You know, now there is scarce resources in this country. You can see what happened to the finance bill. There's no more money. I think the system that we have in the recovery of this money, because this is the money that is advanced to the farmers when they sell their coffee, as they wait the money to be paid back through the agents. So sometimes the agents get this money, but they do not remit the money where it is supposed to remit. So it's also a management problem. So we must fix this management problem first to make sure that if these funds are advanced to the farmer, how do they come back? They advance the farmer, the agent gets the money, the agent sometimes gives the money halfway. So we must change that system. And we have been talking about cherry fund year in, year out. And I remember the other day the president said that there will be a write-off. But how long will this happen? We must go in and solve this problem. Rahab, I can assure you through KPCU, because this is the major culprit, that we will look into this issue. In the same way with the new KCC. KCC was a very vibrant institution, a vibrant dairy cooperative. But now it is collapsing. It collapsed first time. They changed the name from KCC to new KCC. Government has pumped in money. The other day they were given 600 million. It is again collapsing. Now maybe we'll change another name, new KCC. So this is a problem that we are having in cooperatives, and one of the issues is management. management is a problem in cooperatives, but I would expect KCC, being a big company, it will have a proper structure that will be able to detect early enough any mismanagement in their financial system. They have not been paying farmers, but when I was nominated, I've actually been sending feelers, and I can tell you that farmers now have been paid up to June of this month. They only are owed dues in the month of July. The succession plan in Cooperative, as raised by Honorable Mishimbogo, is critical. As a ministry, we must come out with a criteria of how the officials of cooperatives should, one, be elected, those who are on the committee, and even the appointment. Someone is elected to be a chairman, and is a chairman for 30 years, until he goes to the grave. And actually, if he stands for election, he wins. It is like the labor movement. When you are there until you go to the grave. So as a government, we must find out what is the problem. And I was thinking very seriously that why can't we create limits? If me, I've served as a governor for 10 years, that was my limit. And as you can see, I'm still very strong. I would be still the governor of Kakamega County this moment. And in fact, I would have gone in and opposed. But because now there was a term limit, I think this term limit should also extend to...
We advised your colleague in sports that the same thing obtains there.
Yeah.
People hold offices in perpetuity.
In perpetuity, yeah.
So tell us, if you find favor, what are you going to do to manage, introduce, and have succession plans in these cooperatives?
Yeah, Chairman, thank you very much. You see, like banks, even sometimes, if you are managing director, you are also allowed to be a managing director for a particular period. You cannot be there forever. And that's what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, that one of the things, if given a chance, I'm thinking is to create a term limit for even board members, and even if you are CEO. So if it's 3 years contract, you renew once and then you disappear. If you are on the board, you also serve a board for a particular period. Even if you are very good, we say that goodness of yours, take it also elsewhere, so that those people can enjoy that. So that's what I'm going to do. She also talked about shared functions between national and county government. I can tell you that according to the Constitution, cooperatives function is a function of the county governments. But it has created a challenge because there are cooperatives that operate beyond boundaries of constituencies. How do you deal with them? Because the counties can have their own legislation to regulate cooperatives in their area. And they have a right to do so. But what about if cooperatives operate beyond? Like in Western, we have the IG, Invest and Grow. You go in every county in that region, they have offices. How do you deal with them? If Kakamega has a different cooperative legislation, Vihiga has a different one, so how will which law will it subscribe to? So we are saying that those cooperatives that operate beyond their own boundaries should then be controlled by the national government. And that, even that's what we did in roads when I was the governor for Kakamega. We agreed roads that go beyond county boundaries should belong to the national government. And that's what I feel. There is already discussions between county government and the Ministry of Cooperative on how this issue is going to be dealt. As soon as it's dealt with, I will be able to advise you, Honorable Mishimboko. The issue of pyramids, they say that you plant money and you get money. Obviously, Kenyans are conned. And what they do, they give you, they say plant 100, plant 1,000, you come, you get 2,000. So they lure you. As you put in, when you put 20,000, then they disappear. That's why we are coming up with these funds and sensitize people that before you borrow any money from someone, or someone says there's a pyramid sort of thing, please check with the officers there that is such an institution registered. That's why the government is there to protect its own people by making sure that people are not conned. So go to institutions that you are sure these institutions have offices. The pyramid fellows usually don't have offices. They have offices where you can go and complain, and that they are registered. I don't think, as a government, we can come up with a legal framework to legalize things like pyramid schemes. We will be making a mistake, we will be making a serious mistake, and our people will continue to be conned. CUSCO, like KCC, is also new. There was CUSCO, the original one, which is under receivership. And now there is new CUSCO, which is struggling. So if we decide to put it under receivership also, we will have another new CUSCO. We cannot continue like this, because CUSCO is an umbrella body of all cooperatives. All cooperatives have put there all the money. But as I talk to you, Honorable Speaker, CUSCO has lost about 10 billion of public money because of corrupt practices. And as a government, we must come in strongly that those people who embezzled funds from CUSCO are dealt with, because these people are known. The board was suspended, and we cannot just sit back because people have lost employment. We must follow up and see that this money is recovered, and this is the work that EACC can help us instead of following a squirrel in the name of Wycliffe Oparanya. This is the elephant in the house, where 10 billion has been lost, and they can't go for this because they want publicity, that now this is the big fish. But where the money has gone, the small fish are there. And there has also been a struggle where the board of CUSCO wanted to be registered as a private company, so that they also escape. Now they come out of government control. We are saying this cannot happen until this money, which has been stolen from the people, is accounted for. That is what happened with KFA. You remember KFA was a giant company in Nakuru when it was under cooperative movement. It went under private company. As a private company, it was now changed from cooperative to private company. Now it has become a very small.
It became KGGCU.
Yeah. So this is the escape.
Disappeared.
They use this as an escape, actually, to embezzle money. But now CUSCO, new CUSCO, we are going to make sure, this is, when I'm given a chance, this is my first assignment, to see that I focus, because this is a very important organization. But as a ministry, we are proposing that because people have lost their money, we want to introduce also deposit protection fund, like the way it is in banks, or deposit guarantee fund, so that when institutions actually collapse, and it is confirmed that they collapse properly, then members of that particular institution have at least something to fall to.
How does an institution collapse properly?
Yeah?
How does an institution collapse properly?
Because maybe it has taken an overdraft, and because of other issues that come up, because also an institution can, because of changing environment, you know, the institution that if a business environment changes, they do not change quickly. So they are caught up because they are stuck to the old ways of doing things, and it collapses. That's what I'm saying, that it has collapsed, but in the right way, because the management looked innocent. There were changes in the environment, but they never changed. But we are now going to come up with a proper framework to see that the members' money is not lost in cooperatives. And then the last one, this is an issue that even one or two people who met me in the street asked me about the same question. And I'm happy that the Member of Parliament have asked this. And when I was getting, I was being briefed about Hustler Fund. I said that we must also have a product that will be in line with the Sharia laws. There must be a product. We want every Kenyan to feel that this country is theirs. So don't worry, we shall come up with the products that will favor the Muslim community. If I don't do it, please, I've committed myself in front of you that that is now my assignment.
Yes, now let's have Honorable Raso, Mule, Robert, and Owen, in that order.
Thank you very much.
One question each.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Yeah, I think I'll just raise one question. Honorable Oparanya, you are the Minister for Planning in the Kibaki administration, and you basically authored Vision 2030, which actually today is a blueprint and is the roadmap for development for Kenya. I don't think there's another more serious document that has come about. Governing is a social contract. And when you talk about MSEs, micro, medium, small enterprise, and cooperative is part of our people. It is that development which you in Kakamega, or that governor in Marsabit, or that governor in Wasungishu looks at, because it is about the people. Now, if we put the two together, Vision 2030, and the job, if Parliament approves your nomination, what do we see the link between the two? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to pose a question to the nominee with the great experience he has in the government since Kibaki time, and as my colleague said, the author of Vision 2030. Do you think it will be viable to continue having separate funds to help the youth, the women in Kenya, whereby they are domiciled in different ministries and management? For example, we have Wewezo Fund, domicile at youth, Women Fund at Gender, Youth Fund at Youth Ministry, then ASLA at Cooperative. Is it, from your experience, is it viable? And if it's not viable, will you be suggesting to the government of the day and the executive whether we can pool these all these funds to one basket, whereby proper management, proper resource, and proper distribution of these funds to Kenyans to help the economy grow? I just want to hear your thoughts on that, because we must do things differently.
Robert?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, cooperative societies are riddled in debt all over. I'll give you an example of when I was elected in Kadhiani. The coffee factories there, the coffee cooperative societies were all in debt and all kept coming to us to try and help them to raise money. I would like you to maybe explain to us how they get into debt, so deeply in debt, and how you as government can be able to help them. But Mr. Speaker, you know, interesting times listening to my leader from Azimio defend the Hustler Fund, which we were very seriously opposing. And I'm also learning a lot. But you have confessed some things here, and I sympathize with you when you talk about how EACC has actually, and you did this on oath, that EACC was actually acting as a political tool, fighting you because of exercising your democratic right in picketing under Article 37. Now, if you are approved, then you will be sitting in cabinet, and you know there's that thing we call collective responsibility. So you'll be part of government. Maybe you can tell us, how will you use that office to ensure that this persecution does not continue again in this country? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Speaker. I would like to direct this question to the nominee. You know, there was, during President Kibaki's time, there was this famous saying, what gets measured, gets done. And it spoke into the realm of performance management. And I think you were there, the Honorable Speaker was there, and this country's growth during that time was measured on, was actually pedestaled on performance management, which was translated into performance contracts. And we realized that we could actually measure the growth of the country day by day, because every institution in this country, every ministry had the responsibility to measure performance and therefore deliver on certain deliverables. It was also pegged on Vision 2030, which you've been credited to be the author and also the person who ensured that Vision 2030 was implemented. In the last 10 years, we never saw the previous regimes talk about performance management and how to manage performance going forward. As you come into cabinet with this, if approved by this committee, of course, with this knowledge, with this vision, with this experience, how are you going to bring back the good old things that were really helping in the growth of this country? Noting that President Kibaki's time, Kenya really had great performance, and your knowledge on it, your experience, now that we are bringing you in, the new people that are there, how are you going to help cabinet approve performance management, which I think is the best tool to measure performance? How are you going to help this country in that realm? I thank you.
Nominee, deal with those four.
I started with Mula, or
no, we did Oras.
The social contract cooperative link between the two. Can you repeat that question? I think I missed something out of it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. What I said is that when you talk about SMEs and you talk about cooperatives, it is about our people. Although we can run away, it is what you call the bottom-up, because that is the economy at Mashinani there. Vision 2030 which you authored and which you presented to Kenyans is the roadmap to development that we are using until today. So I'm saying if you link the two, as the immediate former governor of Kakamega, how are you able to link the two to see that are we making progress in Vision 2030?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I think now I have understood, Mr. Chairman. First of all, the Vision 2030 is a long-term blueprint for development of this country. And it came up during the times of the former president, the late Mike Kibaki. And this document is a very good document if you have an opportunity of reading it again. But unfortunately, the other governments, when they came in, they tried to come in with their own things. Some of the issues being undertaken now are out of line. But that's not bad, because we had said in the vision clearly that the environment, the business environment, the economy environment changes. So you are also supposed to come up with those changes to address changes in the planning, to address those particular changes that have happened. And that's why I'm saying that when we came up with Vision 2030, cooperative services were put under financial services in the Vision 2030. If you go to the page of financial services, cooperatives are there. By that time they were planning, cooperatives were not given emphasis, unfortunately. They were put there, and if you read them, you read that it's just a paragraph, which was unfortunate. Forgetting that cooperatives are the engine of development for this country. So the link between the two is that cooperatives were recognized, but unfortunately they were not given emphasis. We are now saying that this time, for us to grow the SMEs, we must grow cooperatives. That is critical. And the fact that SMEs have been taken as a pillar, one of the 5 pillars that the transformation of the economy of this country has to be undertaken through SMEs. The question of Honorable Mule, that there are various funds, Uwezo Fund, Women Fund, Youth Fund, Hustler Fund. Fortunately, Honorable Mule, these funds have been put under one ministry now, under SMEs, except for Youth Fund, which was there briefly, and it was taken to the Ministry of Youth. And I think that was a mistake. These funds were meant for different purposes, but they were also established to address various concerns at that time. That time, our good women were making noise that they need a fund. So whoever was in power at that time responded by creating a women fund. The same for youth. And the Uwezo Fund is the very basic one. In fact, Uwezo Fund can easily be amalgamated with the Hustler Fund. But the only difference is that the Uwezo Fund is at the constituency level. So now, if you started now amalgamating it with the Hustler Fund, which is sort of on a digital platform at the national level, then it becomes a problem. But for easy management and proper focus, I will agree with you that these funds be brought together. And let us have departments within those units. And those departments are given a budget. This is 200 million, make sure that they go to the women. This is a particular, this is 1 billion, let it go to the youth. This is a particular, this amount is for people living with disabilities, let it go to that. That will also reduce the cost of running these funds. So we have one board, one management. That is the best way. But sometimes to do this is a political decision to be made. And that is maybe a decision that you can leave it to the president to make. Because when the youth fund was put under SMEs, quickly, I think the Minister of Youth complained, and then because of the political play that time, it was moved out of it. The question raised by Robert, MP for Katiani, the issue of debt write-off in the cooperative. As I've told you, cooperatives are self-financing. They are umbrella cooperatives that government puts in money. Few cooperatives like dairy. Dairy is a very important sector in the economy, where the government puts in money to make sure farmers get to be paid. It's like also the sugar industry. They want to make sure that farmers are paid because sugar is consumed a lot. Milk is consumed a lot in this country. So the government must have interventions. And that's why the government is ready to write off debts because of that, that particular special priority of that particular commodity to the people of Kenya. But I've said clearly that how long will this go on with the austerity measures that are there? Shall we keep on the government writing off debts? What I'm saying here that, and what I am committing myself, is that we must confront this problem and say, why do we have problems in cooperatives? And the major reason we have problems in cooperatives is actually management, nothing else. So if we can sort out management issues, then this problem will not be there. This issue of EACC, it is unfortunate that such institutions are used. It's unfortunate, and I remember the president committing himself that such an institution will never be used. He might not be the one, but it might be people around him. He might not know. But it is unfortunate because in the process they lose focus. The elephant is in the house. They are going for a squirrel. That is very unfortunate. The issue of performance contract. I'm happy that, Mr. Chairman, I started performance contracting when I was Minister for Planning, and it worked very well. It was one of the Vision 2030 tech that we have performance contracting. And we wanted this performance contracting to all government institutions, to central government ministries, to parastatal, to agencies, to sagas, so that what you do can be measured. There are targets. Are you able to meet targets? People now sit in the office. Institutions are making losses, but they still continue to be in office. I'm hopeful that as I come to the office, if you approve it, I'll talk to my colleague, Mbadi, who has now taken over the Minister of National Treasury.
He has not.
Who will?
He has not taken over any office.
If you have approved it, if you approve it, Easy. If you approve with somebody to take over the national treasury and economic planning, because that is where this performance contracting is supposed to be housed, then this is one of the issues that I will take it up, because that was very good. It motivated people to work very hard. When it was being announced at KCC there, some ministers will hide their face because they know their ministries have not done well. So people worked hard. So it is important because we get salaries from the public. So we should be accountable to the public, Mr. Chairman.
The last court, George Morugara, Sir George, Daoud, and Mary.
Thank you very much.
One
Mr.
question
Speaker.
each.
One question, then the public one I'll ask, I will not ask again. That will be the end of it. Let me ask my own questions to the nominee, because this issue of EACC is a little bit sensitive, but it's also important that we get the corrective facts, especially as regards the allegations. Number one, EACC every day starts saying that they sent your file to DPP for prosecution. But you've informed this committee that you did not record a statement, which means you were actually not heard. In your position, would have EACC recommended a prosecution before hearing you? That is very important. Number two, you went to court. You got a conservatory order. The question we ask is the conservatory order still in force? And if it is, are the proceedings which you took to court still live, or they have been terminated? And if they've been terminated or they've come to an end, what has been the end result? Now, this other one on behalf of Kenyans, it's a fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you see it, but your side of the political divide told Kenyans, go and take the Hustler Fund and do not pay. They went, borrowed the money, they have not paid up to a tune of 12 million. Now the shoe is on the other foot. This money needs to be recovered through the revolving system. You are in charge. Will you now turn around and tell the same people that they have to repay the money because the money must be repaid?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Oparanya. You have talked a lot about the cooperative societies, so I won't take you back, but you have said it is a management issue. I want to put it to you, it's not a management issue. The issue is, if you do get appointed, it's the Commissioner of Cooperatives, together with his officers on the ground, who abate corruption, because my people have lost 2 buildings in Meru because of no elections are done for the cooperative societies. But it's a problem within the cooperative officials. You have talked about Uwezo Fund and all that. There was a bill, I think about 4 or 5 years back, in Parliament regarding Uwezo, all the funds. It was called Biashara Fund. Maybe you may need to follow it up, how far it went, because I think there was a cabinet paper to move all the funds into one fund, Biashara Fund. By the way, Uwezo Fund in my constituency is doing the best in the country. From 16 million, I have disbursed 61 million. The last one I want to put it to you is the SASRA policy, where the depositor, the savings are supposed to be, they are being told to deposit 10% a minimum, whereas it is very difficult for people to deposit that 10% for minimum. And there are some SACCOs, in particular, I would say, who have not been paid for the last 2 or 3 years, and they are in the media. KTN and Standard, it's been on media as well. They have not even remitted. They have been deducted for the last 2 years. The deductions have been deducted, but have never been remitted to the SACCO. So what are you going to do if you do get approved?
Mary?
Nominee, my question is on MSME. Facilitating access to credit and support is core to the government empowerment agenda. And you know, you must empower the citizens for them to be able to pay taxes, live better lives, and also be productive generally. Now, MSMEs still struggle to obtain affordable credit because of the high interest rates and stringent lending mechanisms. Now, and I say this because we interact with Kenyans every day. And if I quote Honorable Speaker, our constituents ask us, nisaidie, ni boost biashara. Times are hard, ile pesa nilikuwa nayo nimelipa school fees. There is market, but I need to boost my business. We have potential business women and men. Those who want to do startups or just boost what they are doing. But they don't have the money, they come to us. And that's why you've noticed most members of parliament have been organizing harambes just before the ban, so that we put together our business people and we do a fundraising for them to get money to boost their enterprises. So the question I want to ask the nominee, what measures will you implement to improve access to credit for MSMEs, especially for women and youth? We have all these interventions, the Hustler Fund, the Women Enterprise, UWEZO. But it seems, again, this zeroes down to communication. There is many Kenyans still do not know the existence of these interventions and how they can access these funds. Just related to that, what mechanisms will you implement to improve? No, I've said that one. What mechanisms will you put in place to bridge the financial gap, promoting responsible investment practices and ensure financial sustainability? That is especially on loan recoveries. Thank you.
Answer those three. We're coming towards the end.
Yeah, George, thank you very much for that question. I want to confirm that I have never been heard. And I'm on record here. I've been a member of parliament. I know what is to be on record. And if you have someone there, you can confirm. Did you ever take a statement from a man called Wycliffe Ambassador Oparanya? I quote the orders clearly. I say the conservative orders, I quote them. I told you, I told the committee here that my family were being harassed. I was being called that your life is in danger. As a human being, you have to go to for protection. I could not go to report to the police station because the police were against me. I would not know. If I saw the police attacking you, how do you go to the same police to record a statement? So I decided another independent body can maybe listen to me for protection. And that's why I went to court, that I'm being harassed. Please, can these people be stopped? And I get compensation for this, and you determine if the case has not been determined. And I'm ready here to say in front of the cameras and in front of you, Mr. Chairman, that if I'm found guilty that I stole money from Kakamega County, I'm ready to resign if you give me this position. The issue of Hustler Fund.
Okay. I think if in fact they forwarded a file recommending your prosecution, if EACC did that, recommending your prosecution to the DPP without your own personal statement, it's highly illegal and highly irregular.
Thank you.
In fact, you should lodge a formal complaint against EACC for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, these institutions are there for some purpose. And if you met me in private, I will let you know. It's not for nothing. Now, the issue of Hustler Fund, I clearly said that I was talking from an ignorant point of view. I've now come in and I've seen the intention of this fund was good. But the only problem was the implementation. So I was out there, I could not get the records.
Yes.
No, I want to inform the nominee that it is for a fact, and it is in public domain, that the Hustler Fund has failed. What are you going to do about it?
I have said clearly that the intention was good, Mr. Chairman. But the fact that it was implemented in a hurry without proper structures.
You
and
already
what I'm
said
going
that,
to do
yes.
is that I will make sure that if you give me the chance, I will make sure that proper structures are put in place, that money that is given to the people, out there to our people, it is recovered. It's a revolving fund so that other Kenyans are able to enjoy the money. Honorable Dawood, you have mentioned that the issue is the Commission of Cooperatives. Commission of Cooperatives, is, you see, is one person. I don't want to defend. I don't want to defend him here, but so many cooperatives have collapsed. Maybe yours is exceptional if the Commission of Cooperative was involved directly. But from my study...
Point of information, Mr. Speaker. It is not him alone. He's got officers. It cascades all the way to the county and the constituencies. The people under him, together with him, there is a problem.
I understood him, nominee, to say that apart from the governance issues that you have said, corruption and so on, the office of the Commission of Cooperatives has not helped. It has been part of the problem. So he was asking, if you find favor, what will you do to make that office work?
Obviously, I will streamline the office, but as I've said here, I don't want to have a blame game at the moment. Give me a chance to go in there and look at this particular issue so that I can address it. And note down in your diary that after a month or so, if you give me the chance, let us discuss about it. Then I will be able maybe to give you the right answer. The issue of Uwezo Fund, Youth Fund, Women Fund being put together as Biashara Fund. I told you, I mentioned earlier, Mr. Speaker, that sometimes this issue is political. When you want to put Youth Fund, Women Fund together, and the women are complaining, no, we want just our fund separate. The youth are complaining we have Youth Fund separate. But this will require sensitization. If we can agree with members of parliament, and starting with you who are here, that we sensitize our people to agree this fund to be one fund and create units within the structure so that each particular vulnerable group is given their share. I think, to me, it will work very effectively. And that's the direction that we should go.
Thank you, nominee. We're coming to an end. I have just a few issues the public have asked me to put to you. Some you have answered, so don't belabor if you have. You are on record as advising borrowers from the Hustlers Fund not to repay. Is that still your position? Some chairmen of cooperatives who have been in office, one person says he knows some chairmen of cooperatives who have been in office for over 20 years. What will you do? You already answered that.
I've already done that.
How will you help SACCOs recover the billions defrauded from them by fraudulent managers of CUSCO? Then another one says, you are on record as saying, nurses watagoma siku chache, wapate njaa, warudi kazi. Lakini the doctors have adequate money, they can sustain strikes. And the citizen says, with that kind of mentality, how will you deal with MSMEs comprising small-scale traders? I think
most of them have answered, except the nurses, doctors.
Yes.
And the nurses, doctors, Mr. Chairman, when I made that remark, you were there. You were there, and actually it was out of context because of the facts then. It was just a comparison that doctors have a chance, even if they go on strike, to go and work in private hospital and get their money. So if they are striking, they can sustain a strike for a long time, while nurses don't have that chance. That's why I was saying that nurses, they cannot sustain a strike because they have no alternative, while doctors have alternative. That's how it was, and you can protect me because you are there when I was talking.
I can assure the Kenyan who asked the question that I was there.
Yes, yeah.
Lastly, Honorable...
Mr. Speaker, before you go there.
Yes.
Nominee, I doubt whether you'll be able to answer, but it's information from the public. They are saying, please ask the nominee about Metropolitan National CUSCO that is collapsing with millions of shillings for hard-working teachers in Kenya. They have never communicated on when the corporates will be refunded their money, and they have started closing down. Please, if you get into the office, save the teachers.
Dawood, what is it?
No, he has not answered about the deductions being done, but not being remitted to SACCOs. Is he going to do anything
by employers? Yes.
The issue of Metropolitan, I wouldn't know the right facts, so maybe Honorable Muli, I will look into that and maybe come back to you, because I don't know it even, but let me take it up.
Deductions without remittances?
The issue of deduction without remittance, Honorable Chairman, in fact, this is a serious issue. At the moment, about 2.1 billion has been deducted from members and not remitted. And the most culprit is the county governments, that they deduct and they do not remit. This is a serious issue, and I think it can only be sorted out when we are in, where we will involve county government and of course national government. In fact, the cooperatives were pushing that their money should be deducted at the treasury from those affected counties. But in law, that is not acceptable because the law does not allow that. So these are a thing that we can just sit down and see how best to do it.
Nominee, as we come to an end, yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, before you conclude, you know the suitability of all these nominees. Part of it is largely hinged on integrity, in line with Chapter 6. And CS nominee, you have just said on record there that should you be found guilty, you asserted you would be ready to resign.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Now, I want to ask you to flip that. That says, if found guilty, if charged by DPP, taken to court and found guilty.
Yes.
In your view, should it be the perception that is there, or should it be on the basis of being under investigations, or should that process be at the point where you are found guilty, following due process in a court of law? At what point, ideally, would you resign?
Obviously, Honorable Chunga, I'm talking about a due process. There must be a due process. If there is another issue, it should be, a file should be there, it should be taken to PPP, because that is the one.
So even if EACC had recorded statements from you, from other people, but you are yet to be prosecuted, it is your position then that you are presumed innocent until proven guilty?
Yes, that's how the law is.
Yeah.
Unless you want to violate the law.
Chair.
Mr. Chunga, you know, I respect you very much. So I don't know if you want to violate the law.
No, all
due process.
All questions are innocent, so don't infer anything.
I just wanted it to be clear.
Yeah.
Because in other jurisdictions, like in the US and in many other Western democracies, people, even on the assumption or the impression that they are under investigations, there are people who choose to resign. So I just wanted that clarity, that you want us and the country of Kenya and yourself to follow due process as stipulated in our laws.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
That's what I said.
Chair, you see the beauty of this committee, the chairman is a lawyer, the vice chair is a lawyer, so we're well covered in terms of law, in terms of knowing the law. You see, Mr. Chair, whatever that's happening, whether it is EACC, DCI, they remain allegation until they are proven in a court of law. This country has gone through that process long time. One time we elected a president and deputy who were charged even in ICC. So these things are just rumors in town here until they are proven in court.
Nominee, as we finish,
yeah.
I don't have questions to you, but I want to encourage you. Order. I want to encourage you that in the event you find favor and get this position, the bedrock of our economy for the ordinary people lies in cooperatives. And you yourself have said they suffer from serious governance issues. They suffer from serious mismanagement, frauds, thefts, name it. Every single village in this country has a story to tell about losses through cooperatives. It's a nightmare. We hope and believe that in case you take this office, you'll do something different. Because since independence, we have had ministers in charge of cooperatives. And these piles and piles of theft and fraud have been going on. So we hope that you may find favor. If you do things differently.
Thank you.
Lastly, I want also to confirm to the public, because of what has been going on in the media, that this committee instructed the clerk of the National Assembly to write to the DPP and confirm whether there were proceedings of a criminal nature as had been publicized going on against you. I want to tell the public that the DPP wrote back to the clerk of the National Assembly and said there are no investigations or proceedings of a criminal nature going on against you. You are hereby released to go. Oh, sorry. I have to ask you a few other things. In the rundown to this, we wrote to you and you responded to the memoranda that were filed against you, which were, I'll tell you how many there were. There were 29 in number. I'm being shown something, but you have answered it already about MSMEs.
Yeah.
Lastly, I'll ask you these mundane questions. Have you ever been adversely mentioned in any integrity-related report or investigations?
No.
Do you hold any leadership position in any political party?
No, I held a position, Honorable Chairman, but I resigned on Friday last week. And I think there is a letter in my file to that effect.
What is your net worth in terms of wealth?
About 600 million.
600 million made out of?
Mainly is buildings and houses that I reside in.
We'll leave it there. We wish you well. And you are hereby released to go back to your other duties.
Thank you very much.
You will collect your original documents. We have checked and found them in order. Sergeant, you can pass on the documents to the nominee and escort him out of this chamber.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Honorable members, we'll break for lunch. I don't know if it's late lunch or early dinner. And resume at 4:40. 4:40.